The Gemling Queen? She's impossible. How did she survive? Why is she not one of the Undying? No, these questions can wait. There's a more pressing one. Is she safe from the Ebony Legion? That's dark news indeed. If Gravisius has the ribbon spool, then it's only a matter of time before the Ebony Legion breaks through the bloodied ribbons. Then they'll have the Gemling Queen, a living embodiment of the Cataclysm. Maramoa's sure of herself, and that kind of surety gets you killed in Sarn. You and all those around you. Hagen's got the right idea. Don't believe in anything that you can't trade or eat. I wouldn't rely on Hagen in a fight, and I wouldn't put too much faith in what he says. But he has one highly useful asset. His obsession with self-preservation. If Hagen deems you of use in keeping his fat self alive, he'll do almost anything for you. Piety's a genius, sculpting mere human clay into divine gemlings. At least, that's what she told me when she opened me up and buried a virtue gem in my entrails. Valakai did the same in the name of the Emperor centuries ago. Chittis's gemlings still rule Sarn. We call them the Undying now. I tried to penetrate the Solaris Temple in the northeast. Almost got myself killed by the bloody ribbons that guard the place. Bizarre, floating tapestries they are, creatures of cloth and thaumaturgy. Fortunately, a few legionnaires got in the way. While the ribbons eviscerated them, I ran straight into Gravisius. He dragged me over the bridge to the Lunaris Temple in the west and put me in Piety's tender care. Didn't say a single word to me the whole time. I was nothing but a spoil of war to him. Goodbye, exile.
Hello. Maramoa. I've heard that the Karui have this philosophy. Makanui, the way of the warrior. I don't think you could get any more Makanui than her. She took it upon herself to look after me, before Tolman arrived. Saved my skin more than once. I'm fine with that. Beats being on her bad side. Hagen likes to think he was my kind old uncle back in Theopolis. Granted, the work he gave me saved my parents and I from starvation. This was after my father lost the family fortune at the card table, and we had to give up the manor in the country for a flea box in Theopolis. But he's not half as generous as he makes out. When Hagen gives you something, you can be damned sure that he's getting his pound of flesh in return. No one should have to go through what Grigor has. I help him as much as he'll let me, but he's a proud one, and so he should be. He's survived what has destroyed too many of us. Halfway across the world, and yet the tie between Vanilla and I endures. That was Piety's real name back in Theopolis, before her rise to greatness. Vanilla sold her thaumaturgy in the day, her body at night. Sought after, she was, enough so to become one of my best buyers. But money never meant much to Vanilla. No, she was striving for something better, nobler. Used to tell me that life needn't be this hard. It's time you all realized that. I bet she fed Tolman the same bloody line. The blackguards talked about Piety's precious gems being infected with nightmare. Tolman, what did she do to you? Vanilla was arrested for consorting with the unholy and condemned to the pyre. This was before the banishments. Dominus shared a last supper with her, heard her confession. Most think Vanilla earned Dominus's patronage on her back. I don't. Vanilla gave Dominus her better life and got a new name in return. You can count on one thing. Piety's grand future won't include the likes of you, me, or Tolman. You find a high enough spot and you can see the Lunaris temple over the river, at the western edge of the city. Since the blackguards arrived, the clouds above that temple have been stained with the blackest of smoke. You can see it sometimes when the westerly blows. It stinks worse than death. On the fall of the Empire, the historians are deathly silent. After the Purity Rebellion, the Kingdom of Kalm blockaded Oriath, preventing any trade or correspondence with the mainland. It's said that Kalm planned to invade. Only when the Karui retreated did Oriath get any news from Rayclast, but by that time there wasn't really anyone left to tell the tale. I know. So strange that stone and metal should move and live as you and I. Still, I read that Chitis's sculptors used to soften their materials with thaumatic sulfite, a byproduct of gem refining. It's the only connection that I can fathom between the cataclysm and the living sculptures of Sarn. Chitis thought that the gemling was the pinnacle of human progress. These glorious gems have brought us within spitting distance of godhood, he once said. The High Templar at the time, Vol of Thebris, thought they were a perversion. He wanted the Empire made pure, cleansed of the stain of thaumaturgy. You look at Sarn and tell me which one you think was right. And while you're out there, look out for monkeys. No, not those bloody monkeys from Frisia. These ones are painted on the walls. I think you'll find them enlightening. Be careful.
Still breathing, eh? Stay out of the shadows. They bite. Don't do anything I would.
What do you want?
Hagen is a man of many claims, and those claims seldom dance harmoniously together. A lie is a death sentence in Namakanui, so I was raised a daughter of truth. Hagen is a son of self-interest. He's no warrior, nor spirit singer. He's a Korangi. I don't know the right word in Oriathan. But in Karui it means he who wins wars with false promises. Citizens of the Sand that was, the Undying have been around for hundreds of years. Left to their own devices, they'll likely survive for hundreds more. Still, they're not immune to mortality's touch. They can be killed, with some difficulty. Traversing the sewers under the river. I should have thought of that myself. Yet, the more of a picture you paint of that undying concoction in the sewers, the less I want to see it. If you manage to destroy it, expect a storm of undeath to descend upon you. The dark is their home, and there'd be nowhere more homely to the Undying than a pitch-swathed drain under a river. Telekora.
I write this now in hope that someone will remain. Someone may remember. The sun is an orb of blood. Twisted twilight shrouds my eyes. The air reeks of anguish. San has plunged in nightmare. The man who served me coffee now writhes on the floor. He rants of visions he alone can see as writhing red tentacles grow from his face, as if his eyes had been seeds waiting to sprout. He is quiet now, my waiter. No more cackling and screaming. Dead. Of my fellow patrons, only 2 live. The others have fallen. Their blood is everywhere. The survivors, gemlings both, their skin shrivels and grays to the hue of necrosis. Their gems flare with unholy luster, their eyes black as hatred. A gemling ghoul, it twisted off a corpse's head, gnaws at skull-like dog. My head now, visions clawing at me. Thinking burns. I see horror. Envy the mute corpses at my feet. Words flay me, flee me. All is madness.
Hunt, exile. Now it is time for Einar to go to Einar business.
The shadow whispers and simpers at the Monkey King's feet. When the Monkey King puts his back to the sun, it is the shadow that leads the way.
pretty as porcelain, but her mouth spins like the potter's wheel. That's how I once described Diala. Yet on this day, my lady is as ravishing as a nightmare, radiant as the fullest moon. Diala is my gemling queen, and we shall rule side by side over the world that will soon come to be.
They are my ribbons forevermore. Forevermore. I hate forever. I could tear happy ever after from bards' bleeding tongues. You're still here, not a cockroach. Oh, gratitude. Yes, I should give you a token. A token. What token? This? Is this to your liking? The cockroaches will come again. They want the twist. That cockroach emperor. The other bugs shout his name. Revisius. Cross the river, squash the emperor cockroach in his nest. The bridge. It is barricaded. That spawns a tricky question. Questions. I asked too many questions. Chit has told me so. I asked where it all went. Our feculence. He made them show me. Under the river, the sewers from this side to that. Filthy, fetid tunnels like a rower's cloaca. A black place, crawling with the undying. Once beautiful and arrogant gemlings, now the foul waste of the Empire. Fitting, isn't it? Apt. I like you, not a cockroach. I like that you listen. It would annoy me if the Undying murdered you. Thaumatic sulfite, that's what you need. A nasty, nasty substance it is. Malachi had his slaves mine it, carry it from northern mountains to the refinery by the docks. Ezamites, Marraketh, Karui. It killed them all, fevered the blood and scorched the mind. But you are clever, not a cockroach. You will keep it at arm's length. You will bring it to me so that I may make you something, an infernal tulk that will bring furious light to undying darkness. I loved Malachi. He gave me gems, divine jewels for his gemling queen, for his dead queen. But I didn't want me dead. Malachi begged. For him, for the Empire. I chose me. Selfish me. The Empire died, and I live. I live, and live, and live, and live. I was the Emperor's favorite for a time, but Chitus had many favorites. He filled the scepter of God with favorites. Every now and then, he cleared away the clutter. Those who pleased him, they were given to his lords and generals. Those who did not were given to his thaumaturgists. I talked too much, asked too many difficult questions. I was gifted to Malachi, my dear, troubled Malachi. Goodbye.
Greeting!
hell!
The Monkey King names you slave. No, you are the gems of Rayglast, not the treacherous stones you dig and die for. It is time to bend the Monkey King's ear. Tell him your true name.
You have Stormatic Sulfite? You are a resourceful unbug now, aren't you? Give it to me. I was all eyes and ears when Malachi worked. I know exactly what to do. A dash of arcanity, a pinch of insanity, a whisper of profanity, and the infernal talc is now ready. It's the most explosive of powders. A sprinkle, the gentlest of dustings of infernal talc will provoke gems to a molten rage. For the undying, the very sun will rise within their flesh. They will burn for their sins, not a cockroach. They will burn. You may go.
We may just discover the truth of this world.
cannot simply stride forward into the future and expect his people to be able to follow. A leader must look over his shoulder so that he can witness and understand the consequences of the path he has chosen, to ensure that his people are still with him, to ensure that he has not become lost. Precisely where he stands.
be alarmed. I am neither monster nor murderer, though that is the duality of existence that defines San these days. My name is Yosafuanga, and I have the bleak honor of being the sole scholar to the Imperious Intellection, this grand repository of knowledge you see about you. May reason preserve us. In more mundane circumstances, it would be preposterous to ask this of you, an utter stranger, but given that I don't know in which century I might see another pair of flesh and bone hands, there's a door, you see, concealed behind the shelves. It leads into the archives. That's where Isius Perandus concealed his golden pages. Can you see how maddening that would be for me? No, of course you can't. Ridiculous of me to... Suffice to say that they are beyond my reach. 4 Valish texts they are, of priceless historical insight. Please, find my friend's golden pages and bring them to me. You will be rewarded. I vow it before the ancestors. It is the Karui way to observe nature in nature. The fish without the sea is no longer a fish. It is dinner. The Eternals did not see it that way. An Eternal catches the fish, guts the fish, preserves the fish, and places it in a box. Only then does the Eternal feel he truly understands the fish. It was a Karui Motiata that discarded my failing body of flesh in favor of canvas and oil. An ancient song and a momentary lapse in judgment that I've had more than enough time to regret. Remember, life is precious.